Hey, Dead Fred, why are you sitting in the dark? Man, you know what? I gotta just, this thing is so frustrating. I tried playing outdoors and the brightness of it is just, it's not good. So I had to lower the light down and get somewhere dark so I can actually see the screen and play it. Miyoo, what happened to this? Come on, guys. I'm Mike Lindell, and for nearly 15 years, the My Pillow Company has produced quality pillows for... No, wait, that's not me. Hey, Deadheads, welcome back to our channel. Or welcome for the first time, new Deadheads. So, today we're going to take a look at the Miyoo Mini A30. You guys did see, hopefully, you watched our unboxing initial impressions, and now we've had this thing for a little over a week. We've been playing with it, giving it a fair shot to see if it's something that you should spend your hard-earned money on. So guys, remember to hit that like button, subscribe. Deadheads, leave us some commentary. We love the banter going on in the community. Check out the posts I'm doing throughout the days. There's lots of news coming through now. But anyways, you guys are here to see whether or not the Miyoo is worth your money or not. Let's go. So one of the things that I really enjoyed about the original Miyoo was the fact that it came in a really nice packaging. For some reason this time, this guy right here, well, they didn't put it in a box, but they did give you a case. So I don't know if that's a good trade-off. But taking a look at this unit, they did come out with some very striking and polarizing colorways. I know some people love this, some people hate it. Me personally, I like the colorways. I love the big buttons that are on here compared to the RG28XX. I think this has better buttons. It's bigger. It is roomier. The D-pad feels better. And I just think that overall the quality between the two is just a hair better. Now, the RG28XX is great. These buttons are fantastic. Now, don't get me wrong, but this D-pad is just a little bit tiny. There's room here. I don't know why we don't have a little bit bigger D-pad. I would have preferred the bigger D-pad. The Miyoo does win in that regard. So if you can see here, the two D-pads. So I do prefer that. I do prefer the size of the buttons. These are great buttons. So, and again, I really like these shoulder buttons here on this. So definitely on the 28XX, not giving it a knock on that. I'm just saying that that is one thing I prefer here. Now the stick. The stick has also been very divisive. It's been something that a lot of gamers have debated whether this thing is worth having a stick or not. I'm going to say that I think it is. I wish that the 28XX had a stick, even though the chipset and CPU is limited. Just for N64 only, this is a great addition. And guess what, guys? This thing is playing N64 good enough to where I would use this to play N64. Again, the different colorways, the gold and red was sold out first. That was my first choice, but this black and white I think is just really striking. It does have pretty good build quality like normal. We're talking about a $50 device, guys, so remember, you know, this is pretty nice. I like the design of it, the layout of the buttons. I like the look of it and the style of it. So my biggest issues with this has nothing to do with hardware really, although the brightness of the LCD is an issue. Even with the updated firmware, that's kind of disappointing. But other than that, this is pretty good, feels good in the hands. And I gotta say that there's nothing here really that would cause me to be dissatisfied with it. Now, as far as the software, yes, the software it shipped with was poop. We could just toss this in the room. But let me say that since then, Miyoo has updated it, and the custom community has actually helped do a few things here. If Onion OS comes to this, and we get the version of Onion OS that we all know and love, this guy is going to leap ahead of the 28XX. I think, maybe. I'm getting ahead of myself. Again, no knock. Anbernic's been killing it. I love this device. Go get it, guys. This is great. But if you don't want to get this and you're more of a Miyoo fan, I think that this is going to be wonderful. But right now, I just can't really say to pick this over that. That being said, let's take a look at a little bit of what I have been using this for, what has worked for me, and what I thought was great. So one thing I love is I do love the little themes that, you know, we have on our Miyoo. Those themes do carry over to this. I was able to port some of them, and there are some different distributions from the community coming out. I picked up a link on Discord for the version that I'm using right here, which has included the update from Miyoo along with a few other options. You can see this is running the 426 firmware version, and again, it has done a few things to make this thing a little better, although there's still a lot of issues. But I do like that we can control the CPU frequency if you want longer battery life versus you're pushing N64. Again, there's quite a few themes on here. Some of them are very interesting. Some of them are kind of boring. Shout out to my friend Techdweebs, because, you know, you got to get the Techdweebs theme if you're going to use this. So make sure you check that out and love this theme. But anyways, let's jump into some gameplay and take a look at, you know, again with this stick, if you're going to have it on here, let's make a little use of it. And so this firmware I downloaded does have this additional N64 version, which runs a lot better than the stock one. So we're going to pull that one up and we'll go into some Super Mario 64, which benefits. Now again, with the Anbernic, yes, you can do some hardware, software changes and make the stick act, you know, in place of the analog stick, but there's nothing quite like using the analog. So again, as we boot up here and play this, it's just really nice that this does come with this. I don't know really if there was some kind of reason why Anbernic decided not to throw that on there. I know the Anbernic is more popular right now, but again, I'm really hoping that with software updates and development, this little guy right here is going to really take its place in being a very pocketable and portable unit. Now, with the newest update, I don't feel any of the warmth that I felt at first. I don't see any of the sluggishness, so it is working better. So we've already taken a step forward in improving the firmware for that. So again, it's just really nice that you have this stick and you can just control Mario in a natural way on the N64. It just adds that little bit of flexibility. This is playing N64 to a level that I find adequate. No, this is not going to play every game perfectly. It is going to have issues, but again, for something this small and pocketable, it's really kind of nice that you have this stick on here. Also, if you remember on Sonic, on the review, if you saw my review of the Anbernic RG28XX, it sorely missed having that analog stick, even though you can use software changes to make the digital rely on that. But yeah, you can see that it's pretty good here, pretty interesting. This looks good to me. It plays well. And boy, it's been a minute since I've actually played through Super Mario 64, so I did enjoy playing through this. So let's take a look at some other software that's going to make use of this stick. As we go even more retro with some Asteroids here, this is another good use of the stick. Boy, that's a big asteroid. But you know, with all the rotation and movement here, it's good to have the stick here. Kind of works great because the original Asteroids game was all about that precise movement. So you can see again, it's nice to have this ability again on N64, and the games are looking just really, really good. Playing well. This is not a super demanding game, of course, but you know, again, Deadheads, if you're gonna buy this, I would recommend that you load up a lot of great quality N64 and, you know, have fun with playing the 64 on this. Now, again, the CPU is going to do everything great for, it's an all-winner chip, so everything great for PS1 and below. It's going to have some software issues and struggle at everything above that. Although N64, again, is playing pretty well. PSP, not going to play very well. Dreamcast is also a bit iffy that I found in my testing. I don't know how much of this is the limit of the CPU versus how much of it is the actual hardware. Software, I mean, development. So again, if things get a little better as I blow up, hopefully software improve, and we'll have a better idea of what this can be like in the future. The area this fails to impress, compared again to the RG28XX, is in vertical mode. As you mentioned in the review, this thing is awesome for that. The way they have arranged this and set this up, this just doesn't feel quite as good, quite as set up as well, although it's still, quite playable as far as, playing your vertical handhelds. It just, well, I guess once you try it on the RG28XX, you'll see how much better that is going forward. As we play some bells and whistles, you can see that you can use the stick, but it's just, I don't know. I mean, this is kind of awkward holding it this way. It's not the best use of this, and again, I just found that the 28XX was more natural, but again, this is going to play N64 better because it does have that stick, and it's going to play games that just naturally benefit from that. So let's talk about what I like and what I didn't like and wrap up this review of the Miyoo Mini A30. As I throw the specs up there on the screen, first of all, this does have specs that are, I think Miyoo probably did the best they could. I don't know if we're going to in the future find, one of these that has like a 610 in it, what the Retroid Pocket 2S has in it. That would have been perfect, even if it cost a little bit more. I think they were competing to stay in that budget price range, but I personally would have preferred to see a little bit beefier chip, especially with this stick. But it does have specs that offer, I think, for the price, pretty good performance. I also like the design and look of it. Now, it does, the quality of it is pretty decent. I don't have many issues with it. I like the layout and arrangement of the buttons. I think that the buttons are nice. They're bigger than on the 28XX, and so I do appreciate that, and this D-pad is bigger. I like that the stick exists, although I don't know that the stick is going to be useful to more people than not. So, but for me, again, I've turned this into a little bit of an N64 machine, which has worked pretty good for me. I do like that Miyoo is continuing to support Onion, and I hope that Onion OS will launch on this in full and really bring this thing and make it blossom to where it's at. Now, the things I don't like. First of all, I don't like the software currently. The software currently, even with the improvements, is just not great. There's too many errors. This is a company that hit a home run with the Miyoo Mini and Mini Plus, and I think we all expected to get something that would be equally as good. I think that in the heat of the competition, they rushed this out. And one thing about Anbernic and Ioneo about releasing so many things is, guess what? The more you release, the better you get. So there's an advantage there because Miyoo has, dripped out these releases versus Anbernic, which seems to put out one every week. So again, I think there's an advantage there over it. I also don't like that this thing gets no in the sunlight. It's terrible outside. Even with the improvements, if you have a lot of light shining on it, as you can see here, it's just not going to overcome that brightness. I don't know if they can do more in software, or if that's something limitation to the screen they used, but I sure hope that that is something that can be improved in the future. I also feel that the battery life on this thing is not quite as great. Again, that probably goes back to software optimization is what I'm thinking. So hopefully that is something that we'll continue to do and go forward. Again, the price to performance I think is adequate. The stick is an advantage, even though, I'm probably going to get a lot of pushback on that. I personally do think it's an advantage and really like this. This is one of those devices like the Game 4 Ace that I find myself using, even though I'm not going to recommend it over the competition. I think you're going to get more overall out of the 28XX than this if you're going to go at this price point. But wait, deadheads, we've got Magic coming out with that XU Mini, so there's still more competition coming, and Pal Kitty could continue to put something else out in this size. So there could be more in the future, and I hope that this heats up and we get a little bit more quality. Well, Deadheads, that has been my review. Again, I'm not going to recommend this at this time. I have a lot of hope for this in the future. If you do buy this, I think the best use you can get out of it is kind of turning it into a somewhat of an N64 machine and using that to play some long sessions in between, you know, work or whatever you're at and about. Okay, guys, well, I hope you enjoyed the review, and we'll see you next time. DeadFred out.